Hey guys, and thank you very much for joining the webinar today, taking an hour out of your busy schedules. We promise it's going to be entertaining and it's going to be worthwhile. We're going to give you some practical examples of how you can extract value from data and turn it into the valuable insight. So my name is Rick, and I'll be walking you through this with my colleague Sven. So let's begin. I wanted to start by sharing a quote from Seth Godin. How dare you settle for less when the world has made it so easy for you to be remarkable? You see, we believe that marketers should be focusing on inspiring content, great strategy, instead of spending too much time taming the technology behind it. You really should be able to let the technology decide what is the best time, best channel, best frequency to deliver the messages, and perhaps in some cases highlight the opportunities to optimize. So you can focus your time on the things that are more exciting. So who are we? So let me give you a quick introduction into Mapp Cloud. So Mapp Cloud allows you to acquire as well as kind of enhance the customer data. With Mapp Intelligence, we're able to analyze customer behavior as well as cross-channel performance across campaigns. And with Mapp Engage, you're able to engage your customers across email, SMS, in-app, mobile push, or even activate data to paid media using Mapp Engage. And we have some exciting news for you guys as well. I'm sure you've all seen it already, but just yesterday, we finished or completed the acquisition of Webtrekk, a European leading customer intelligence platform, which is now enriching the Mapp Cloud. When it comes to webinars like this, I'm sure you guys have taken your kind of time out of your busy schedules to figure out what might be the next opportunities to optimize your marketing, maybe improve revenue, operational efficiency, decrease spend. You see, we're now in the market of digital transformation. We really believe it is about working on the things that you have already been successful at. It's about working at the pace that you're capable of. And it's about, more importantly, whatever you're going to do next, it's about without compromising on the future success of your business. And I think this is described really well with a quote from Helen Hunter, the CDO of Sainsbury's. It's the execution of thousands of small improvements over and over again that drive transformation of the business. And we really believe that. We believe that the platform should help you, or any market technology should help you focus on identifying those opportunities and doing them over and over again for incremental growth. I would like to share a few more statistics with you before we talk about some of those practical use cases. So 90% of digital advertising is spent on people that never visit the site in the first place. And a second statistic is that 80% of revenues, or as Gartner says, 80% of your future revenue will come from 20% of customers. Now, I'm not a data scientist, but I think this shows me that there is significant opportunity by focusing on your existing customers, as well as on the data you have about your customers in the first place. Now, when it comes to identifying the opportunities or identifying the challenges and the things you should be working on next, I believe it was a Rakuten marketing survey of over 1,000 senior marketing executives revealed that marketers waste an average of almost 30% of the budgets on ineffective channels and strategies. And by talking to our customers and prospects and partners, we would like to label them into the following 5 categories. Whether it's wasting acquisition budget on reacquiring same customers over and over again, or it's relying way too much on discounts, affiliate traffic, or maybe even some of the comparison sites or aggregators. Maybe it's even inefficient experience across digital channels. So showing some contradicting messaging to your customers. It's also things like high customer churn and even the web session abandonment rates. So when we talk about customer churn, it doesn't necessarily mean customer churn over a long period of time. We're also talking about customer churn within individual sessions. And then last but not least, it's about leaving this existing customer revenue on a table. Quite often we make false assumptions that some customers, or we have exhausted the opportunities within existing customers, but it's not entirely true. Some customers are willing to spend a lot more. The question is, how do you go about identifying those customers? We believe that it's the first party data and the data you already have about the customers that will give you the most accurate prediction about what your customers are going to do next. And the reason why it's so important is because, well, the data you have of the customers, it will tell you what customers are going to do next with you rather than with your competitors. It also is the data you already have, right? So it's not data you have to acquire. So it's already free for you guys. And more importantly, it's not available to your competition, which means that you already have a competitive edge by being able to use it. And over the next half an hour, we'll be looking at the practical examples, exactly how you can use this data to get ahead of your competition. So, as I said at the beginning, we believe that this single and a complete view of the customer that is driving both the customer analytics as well as the cross-channel customer engagement will give you this competitive edge against the competitors. So what are those things that you could be doing to use the data? Well, if you're in retail, you could be looking at things like decreasing reliance on discounts and affiliates, or acquiring more customers, decreasing customer churn, or extracting more revenue from existing customer base, as well as enhancing the cross-channel experience. If you're in finance, it is about decreasing in-session churn, or maybe even bringing back the quote or calculator abandoners, optimizing paid media, and also digitizing statements, mandatory communications, and account notifications. However, if you're in publishing, perhaps it's about enhancing the content performance or optimizing paywall, discovering the audiences. Who are the people that actually are reading our articles? What makes them unique? And also increasing the audience engagement. There are many other things we can talk about today, including different verticals. But today specifically, we're going to be focusing on the ones highlighted in green. So without further ado, let's just jump straight into one of those. The one I really like to talk to my customers and prospects about is how you can use the customer data to segment customers more intelligently. If you think about it, there's always certain type of people or cookies or visitors that have never been to the site in the first place. And the chances are they're probably not going to convert anytime soon either. But there is a large proportion of people that have been to your site, but you haven't quite been able to convert just yet. Then there's also people that maybe spend more time on a website. Perhaps they browse categories on your page, or even browsed a particular product, or maybe even bought once, or buy on regular basis. Now, all these different distinct sets of segments have different value to you as a business. And it's about how you use them more intelligently to engage those customers. For example, you could also identify the value-seeking customers. If you look at customers that only ever come to you via affiliate traffic or aggregators or brokers, or perhaps have only ever purchased from your websites or in-store using discount coupons or only during Black Friday. Now, these customers have entirely different value than everyone else. And then when it comes to re-engaging them or engaging them in the first place, and let's say in this case it's a paid media example, you could be bidding differently for those people. So people that never been to site, you might be bidding 10 cents or 10 pence, whichever country you're in. Perhaps people that have been browsing product categories, you want to bid 50 cents to bring them back to your website. And then the ones that buy regularly, maybe you want to pay $2. Now, it doesn't have to be $2. Maybe you don't want to bid at all. Let's say if you're in a finance business, perhaps in your advertising campaign is for mortgages. And why would you bid for a mortgage promotion for existing mortgage customers to suppress them? And same thing applies for your value-seeking customers. So if you know that there's a segment of people that only ever buy using a discount or a coupon or via affiliate traffic, next time you need to hit your revenue target for a quarter, rather than going to affiliates, you could simply reach out to that audience with even a higher discount or even higher kind of a promotion. First of all, making sure that you retain the revenue within the business, but secondly, making sure that you retain the customer loyalty with yourself and not with affiliates. Example number 2. So this is a paid media example. I'm using a well-known publisher in the UK, Zoopla, and just like many other publishers, they're selling the ad space programmatically. So this is effectively a programmatic buying 101. But I want to show you how you can use the first-party data more intelligently in those activities as well. So they're selling their ad space programmatically right here. And then they're using some sort of sell-side technology to maximize the yield. And then the advertisers are using buy-side technology to make sure they get best possible slots and best possible audience. It's obviously a bit more complicated than that, but for this particular example, this is enough. And then let's say you have 3 brands competing for the same target audience, right? And typically what happens, the brand that bids highest normally wins. In this case, brand D, they're bidding $1.20, they're more likely to win the bid. But what I want to show you here is that paying the most doesn't necessarily mean that you're the winner. So let me give you this example. Let's say we have 3 brands, brand C, D, and E, competing for 4 customers or anonymous visitors to a publisher's website, the customer 1, customer 2, and customer 4. Let's just imagine all these 3 brands are trying to sell the same product. I know it doesn't happen like this in real life, but for the argument's sake, just go with me. So they're all trying to sell home insurance to one of those 4 or all of those 4 customers. And let's just assume that all these brands have £10 or $10 to spend. Now, how much are these brands going to bid for each of those individual customers to see the banner or to see the promotion? Well, okay. So ignore the fact that I have pounds at the top and dollars at the bottom. Let's say it's $10 for the argument's sake. Let's not worry about the conversion rates here. So let's say the brand C is bidding $2.50 for every single customer, right? Makes sense. Then the brand D, let's say the brand D knows that customer number 2 and customer number 3 are actually in market for a home insurance product. So it's going to change entirely how they're going to bid. They're going to bid $4 for customer 2 and $4 for customer 3, which means they have less budget to spend on customer 1 and 4, but it doesn't really matter because we don't know anything about them anyway. However, the game changes if brand E actually knows that customer number 2 has made a purchase yesterday, right? So some of you might already guess, how much they're going to bid. And if in case you haven't guessed yet, yes, they're going to bid zero. So they're going to bid $0, which means that it gives them a lot more budget to play with when it comes to bidding for those customers. So they can spend $2.75 for customer 1, $4.50 for customer 3, and $2.75 for customer 4. Therefore, outbidding the competition in every single case. Okay, let's have a look at another scenario. We often say that the marketing based on averages creates average results. And quite often, many marketing decisions are done on assumptions or maybe even gut feel. And we believe there's a lot of opportunities that are being wasted by maybe re-engaging customers too soon or too late, or maybe giving them too big or too small of an incentive to make the purchase. Let's take the most simple example, like an abandoned basket campaign that we also used to. In this case, let's say that as a brand, we're sending the abandoned basket 4 hours after the customer has abandoned the cart. Now, in some cases, let's say if the product was worth $105, 4 hours might be a perfect time. This is the ideal time to be sending the message. However, if the product is only worth $40 or $15, it might be way too late. the customer might have already gone to the competitor. And same applies if the products are more expensive. Let's say the product is $150. It might be way too early to re-engage the customer, especially if you're going to give some incentives to bring them back, which means that you're losing people by contacting them too late in some cases, and in other cases, you contact them way too early by providing the discounts. Now, I know some of you might be thinking, well, what is the benchmark, right? So if I'm in retail, let's say in France, or if I'm a retailer in Germany, what is a good benchmark for this? Well, the answer to that is there really isn't one. It really depends on your demographic. It really depends on the product you sell. It depends on the value of the product you sell. It depends on the channels that you sell via. So the only way to know for sure is by applying analytics against your customer data and against the customer behavior. In fact, one of the leading European brands have recently doubled the number of home insurance uptakes by simply decreasing the amount of time it takes to follow up on those home insurance quote abandoners from 45 minutes to 5 seconds. And they doubled the quotes. And that's just one example, right? So for finance, 5 seconds might be perfect for insurance. For other verticals, it might be different. Let's talk about another example. So we've been talking about abandoned baskets that are sent kind of reactively after something happened. Now, we all know, even when we browse websites as consumers, that this line between converting and churning is actually very, very thin. So this whole idea behind kind of conversion and churn is not linear. It normally looks something like this. The customer enters the session, and then throughout the session, they're fluctuating between converting and churning. And also depending on the type of product. Perhaps if it's a more expensive product, well, the chances are they're not going to convert in the first place in that particular session, if that was the first session. If it's a lower value product, they might actually convert in this session. So, and typically what happens is that we try to bring customers back after they've already churned within the session. But we already know that it's a lot cheaper to retain existing customers than acquire the new ones. But what some of us might not think about is actually it's even more cheaper if you're able to retain customers within the same session because they're already there. So Webtrekk, the platform that we recently acquired or we merged with, they already have been able to identify people that are about to churn based on their exit intent. But more recently, they developed AI models to be able to predict the in-session churn or conversion, which means you can be a lot more intelligent in deciding what is the good next message for the customer. For example, if you know that they're about to churn after they've shown a high propensity to purchase a product over $200, well, you're going to react entirely differently than if it's a customer browsing the website for the first time and they're only looking at a $15 product. In fact, just a few weeks ago or 3 weeks ago, they won the Golden Medal Award or Stevie Award for the new best product and service in a competitive intelligence market. So again, some great things here. One of the other ways you can use data to optimize your marketing or to improve your campaigns is through telling your customers a story across different digital touchpoints. Now, again, it might not be appropriate if the product is of a lower value, but if you're trying to sell a somewhat more complicated product, let's say maybe an insurance or a mortgage or maybe a luxury travel destination or a very expensive TV, the chances are you're not going to sell that product by sending a single message, by single email, or maybe a handful of banners. The trick is in identifying what is the best journey to take this customer on, all the way from identifying the intent. Let's say I know that this is Brian, and Brian has shown significant interest in making this purchase, and then all the way through to upselling to Brian after he made a purchase. We believe that you should be able to take the customer through these different steps, all the way from informing Brian about the offering, then educating him about how your brand can help, and then finally helping him decide on which specific product you choose. Now, let's go back to the finance example, and let's say Brian is looking to buy a mortgage. Perhaps you want to show them some informational posts about how great the bank is, or maybe a rich email content, just talking about the types of offers that are available. Now, at this point, if we don't know much more about Brian and we only know that he's visited the site once, it wouldn't be appropriate to send him a call to action email. Hey, buy a mortgage now. It's simply not appropriate. And then once we know that he interacted with one of those first messages, we can move them into the second step of this communication, and we educate them about how great that offering is, or what are those different packages are available, or the success stories for the particular packages, or maybe a fact sheet giving him more information about the product he's about to purchase. And then lastly, once we know that Brian has gone through these first two stages of informing himself, educating, we can help him decide on the exact product, exact level of cover to choose. And there will come a point where there is just too many decisions to be made, right? So the more data you gather about customers, the more decisions that have to be made about what to do next. And this is where really AI comes into play. AI can help you with things like best time to send or best time to engage a customer. And it's something as Mapp we have already developed this year and made available to our customers. But now with the possibilities of Webtrekk that have already working on the AI layer for a number of years, and we'll have over 200 customers using the AI capabilities, we're able to significantly enhance the AI proposition. So by being able to identify the best time to engage a customer, you will be seeing higher response rates. Or being able to identify the next best offer to engage the customer with, you will see higher offer acceptance rates. Or by predicting how much is the customer likely to spend in the next 30 days, you can also use that data to increase the average basket value and also increase the average spend by individual customer. By being able to predict the likelihood to churn, so how likely is a customer to churn within the next 30 days, also you can increase the churn rates, perhaps by simple things like decreasing the communications or using offers more intelligently. And as I mentioned earlier, churn is not just about predicting churn over the next 30 days, it's also about predicting churn within the session itself. Or even using things like likelihood to convert. So how likely is Brian to convert over the next 30 days? Or how likely is he to convert within the session? Which will help you decrease the coupons and the discounts given to the customers. And in fact, that's going to be the next example that my colleague Sven is going to walk you through. So at this point, I would like to hand you over to Sven.
Hello, everybody. Thanks for the great presentation, Rick. I want to talk to you a little bit about what we can do for you guys. And one of the examples that we have chosen to present today is intelligent offers and smart discounts. Discounts or discount codes are something that are used by almost everybody within the e-commerce realm. However, we believe that discount codes can be distributed a lot more smarter than what is commonly done today. So if you choose the right discount for the right customer at the right time, you are in a way better position to have real benefit to your bottom line. Things that come to mind are, for example, decreased churn, as Rick has mentioned, or also to increase the basket value or the basket size. And those are examples that I want to show you right now within our demo shop. And then I want to show you as well how you can set this up easily. So this is our demo shop. Since I also want to show you something for a new visitor, I will go into an incognito window, because there I won't have any cookies and I will be a new visitor. So what can happen when I come to a website? Of course, I start browsing. I might look at certain products, and at some point, hopefully I find something that is of interest to me. And then you know how everybody is, everybody would like to save some money. So people start to go to price comparison sites, or just put something on their wish list and try to leave. However, what we would suggest is that you can also show somebody an offer, for example, 10% off your first order, that might make somebody reconsider leaving your site, because 10% off might actually be a really great offer for them. So they can just sign up, and then they will receive the coupon code, and even if they don't purchase right away, you at least have the lead. Similar things can happen when you look at other products. Let's just take a look at one of the lamps here. And you have a certain product value, and you want to increase the basket size that somebody is going to purchase. So here we're looking at around 80 pounds. And as you can see in the description, there's a bulb required. So if you're going to buy this lamp and you don't have the bulb at home, you have to buy something else anyways. So why not try to increase the basket size? So here again, the same thing happens. Somebody might want to leave, and you can tell them, hey, if you purchase more, so if you increase the basket, we're going to give you 10 pounds off of your basket of over 150 pounds. And the same thing also applies to, cheaper value products, where you could say, okay, maybe I don't want to show the same overlay to somebody who is looking at a dress for 18 pounds, because 18 pounds, 150 pounds is quite far away. But here I could say, okay, I know that's the value of the product. I still want to increase the basket value. So let me just show them a different overlay for 10 pounds of $100 or 100 pounds. Exactly. So what we're able to do is we can use historical data that is tracked, as well as in-session data, and that encompasses behavioral data, data modeling, segmentation, as well as predictions, as Rick mentioned, the AI factor, in order to choose the right coupon for the right customer at the right time. Other options that you could look at is having a first visit discount for a new visitor, right? Even or as well, if you want to look at the visitor who has been there before but hasn't converted, so a visitor without an order, give him a discount for the first order, as you have seen here. Third case could be a visitor coming from an affiliate. You can track this, and you could say, okay, show them a discount, but show them a lower discount and account for affiliate cost or any other paid media. And you're able to adjust the size of the discounts for all of the above based on the predicted customer lifetime value, predicted next order value, current basket value, basically everything that's going on the site and everything that the customer is doing and how he's behaving. I think most of us will agree that this is quite interesting, but it could also be a challenge to set everything up if it's not easy to do. And that's why I want to show you that with our solution, it actually is quite easy to do. Because if you look in Mapp Engage, the content section, there you have what you see is what you get editor for landing pages. And you actually can, even without much programming knowledge, create really nice overlays, popovers, that enable you then to collect people's email addresses, or just to keep them engaged, keep them coming back. You are also able to copy in HTML code from any other system that you might use. And within the HTML code, of course, you can also include tracking code. So the functionalities that you can include here will then enable you to flag visitors For example, heavy coupon users, if you know things about them due to their first party data. But you could also say, okay, this is actually not a new visitor because I already know this email address. That person must just have deleted their cookies, and then you can flag them for certain remarketing campaigns. Mapp customers can create those landing pages by themselves, but you can also engage our customer service team and ask them for support, or also hand over complete project work to them, tell them what the CI looks like, what the message should be, and they will then come up with a proposal and work on this together with you. What you would then have to do is save your landing page, publish it, and you get a URL which you can use then in the next steps. Step 2, also in Mapp Engage, you can find the email template creator, which allows you to create email templates according to your CI. And here you can add quite a few interesting things. For example, also a voucher code item. I just dropped this in here. And just so you see how easy this actually is to use it, I can, choose every object in here and change it. So if I don't want to have the image there, I can just click on hidden. The image will disappear. And hold on. Right, there it disappeared. I can just type in whatever coupon message I want to have. So for example, 10 euros, since I'm from Germany, off basket over 150 euros. You can change the button code, so shop now, for example, and you can also choose what voucher code should be displayed here. So you have the option to have a generalized voucher code that is the same for everybody, hard-coded in here, or you can also enter a coupon list name, which through the coupon management enables you to upload, for example, 1,000 coupon codes that you want to send out, and afterwards there won't be any new coupon codes sent out. They're personalized, they're one-time use, and you can avoid your coupon codes going to voucher platforms and stuff like that. And last thing for the emails here, which is really nice, they are optimized for Gmail, so those emails will also show up as promotions in Gmail. Next step, jumping over to Mapp Intelligence now, is that for those campaigns to actually run on your site as an overlay, as a popover, you have to know what you want to do, where you want to do it, and who you want to enable their action for. So when we look at those sections here, you can see some of the available contents that you can play out. We said we're just going to focus on layers for now. And here you can see that you basically just create a layer by giving it a name, giving the URL of the layer, and then you can see the layer is created, right? So it's really easy to do. Second thing that you have to do, choose a placement. And for the placement, layer and overlay match really well, so that's what we choose. And here also, it's really easy to set up. So you just choose a title. You might choose a URL restriction if you want to restrict it to certain sites. You choose the size of the overlay, the transparency, and you can then also choose if there should be a close button or not. So if you don't have a close button, you ask the person actually to interact with the layer, and the tracking of the conversions, because this is really important. You don't just want to have a marketing action played out, but you also want to know what impacts do they have, right? That goes in full circle with the intelligence part. You want to analyze and you want to further optimize. And the last thing that you have to know is then the target group. So here you have segments, which is basically historical data that has been collected on a user-centric level, and it's real-time behaviors. And that's what I mentioned before. That's the in-session behavior that is going on. So you can see here you have the churn probability, for example, the predicted order value, conversion probability, and you can choose all the values by yourself. If you just look into one of the configured ones here, that's the new visitor churn prevention that we're trying, and what you have seen with the sofa. So basically, you give a name, you choose a trigger, and here from the filter engine, you can then basically choose what triggers you want to use, right? So you have exit intent movement if the mouse moves upward on a certain page for only a new visitor, and you can combine that with however many filters you want. Down here, you can also see, there's a couple of other user behaviors that you can use. Browser tab loses focus, gains focus, visitor scrolls, the seconds the visitor is inactive or engaged, or if the visitor hits the back button. And I think the exit intent usually is a no-brainer for cart abandonment scenarios in e-commerce, but it's also a pretty viable option in other industries, such as the finance or service industry, where oftentimes you have really high-value leads that when they abandon a process, cost you a lot of money. So you want to keep them engaged, you want to save the lead, or you might also want to offer help or in-person appointments, since trust is an important factor for deciding on where to open a bank account, or where to apply for a mortgage or loan, or where to get insured. And there, as I said, exit intent is not the only trigger. So of course, if you're in a process, somebody wants to leave, you could show them due to exit intent a message, but also if somebody is on a page that is quite complicated and they are engaged for 2 minutes or so, you could say, okay, now you can offer them, hey, talk to our customer support agent if you have any questions or if you need help. So there are quite a lot of opportunities here. All of those 3 questions basically flow together within our lean setup wizard for the campaigns. So basically, again, you give a title, you set a status, you set a start date and possibly an end date if you want to say, please stop this campaign after 2 weeks or the day after tomorrow or whatever. You choose a target group, which is the historical data, and it can also be combined with the real-time data. So this is another advantage. You don't have to choose either or, but you can do both, and you can combine them in any way imaginable. When you have chosen your target group, it also shows you what marketing actions you can do with that selection. And down here, for GDPR reasons, you can also store consent, because that might be necessary for some actions that you want to do. And you can then check before any action is played out if that user has given consent or not. The next part is the content. We said we're going to look at a layer, and you can also give it a capping. So one layer is only played out once for a session and not 10 times. And then you choose the placement and you prioritize. So for a certain placement, you can also have different campaigns, and then it's decided which campaigns fits best, and you only have to save it, right? And then you have your campaign set up, and it's running right away. If you want to go full circle, again, you want to, or you should, analyze what's going on, and that's what you can do in the performance tab. When you have an actual campaign running, you see how many clicks you have on your overlay, how many times has the overlay be displayed, what are the conversions connected to that overlay, and if you want to go even further, you can go to full depth analysis directly within Mapp Analytics. Let me quickly switch back to the presentation. Right. So you should see my screen again. I have talked briefly now about the finance industry, and I've shown you the example from the e-commerce retail industry. But another quite interesting industry is the publishing industry. And here we're not necessarily selling one-off products, but usually we're trying to sell subscriptions. And we're trying to convince the visitor.
It's not in full screen, it's in presenter mode.
Oh, okay. Thanks for the info. Let me switch this. Right. Should be in full screen now.
Yeah, perfect.
Right. Thanks again. So what you have to do is you have to try to convince the visitor to engage with your content, and you want to move them through the funnel from engaged user to hopefully paying customer. And there are plenty of ways to accomplish this, but for all of them, you need one thing, and that's excellent data. And that is what we can deliver in near real time and as unsampled and raw data. And based on this data, you can then do your optimizations. And what's helping here is dashboards like the one that I'm showing you right now, our industry-specific insight dashboards. Here you see a publishing dashboard with articles, with how many people are on your site currently, how many people have come through which traffic source. And as you can see, there's also quite a few live KPIs in here that give you data right as the data is created. So if you have data like this, what this enables you to do is, for example, you can ask for a user's email address when they see a paywall via a layer or also via custom HTML, and tell them, if you give me your email as a little incentive, I will give you 3 more premium articles that you can read. And if they agree, and then based on the data collection that happens afterwards, so when they read the articles, you can send the customer a follow-up article recommendation based on the articles that they have read, free and paid combined, or only the paid ones. You can really decide on your own, and encourage them to come back and convince them to sign up. So that's also an interesting case. And what I also want to talk about just a little bit, Webtrekk and Mapp, we both really love data, so we had to have a numbers slide in here. We are a team of over 300 consultants and developers that are here to help you accomplish your goals and to be as successful as possible. We have 10 offices around the world, so we're here for you not only from 9 to 5, but basically 24/7. 12 of the top 15 e-commerce companies and 15 top 25 European banks use and trust the Mapp Cloud. And you heard this before, in 2019, Mapp and Webtrekk joined forces. And by doing so, we further enhanced the value proposition of the Mapp Cloud. And this is only the beginning, so stay tuned for more exciting things ahead. Just to reiterate what I mentioned before, here you can see, all of our offices across the globe. So we have a heavy presence in the US, in Europe, but also in Asia, and we can help you whenever you need help. To close, I would like to underline the quote that we have seen before by Mrs. Hunter, because also from our experience, data-driven work and business transformation is a process that lives from continuous learning and improvements. Commitment to sustained optimization results in a long-lasting success. So we encourage you to further explore your opportunities with us and to break away from the pack. Thank you.
That was a great demo, by the way. I hope you guys over the last half an hour would identify some of the opportunities for yourselves that you're able to kind of take back to your businesses. I wanted to highlight that over the next few months, given that this is right, so we just finished acquisition. We do have all sorts of incentives over the next 3 months, helping the new customers get up to speed. Things like consulting services or free consulting services with the license to help you up to speed with some of those use cases that we have outlined. So do feel free out to the sales, account managers, or just email intelligencemap.com to find out more. We do many more examples than the ones we've outlined. We've only done demo of one of the use cases, but we serve many other verticals, and we can do kind of and if you want to see a demo of a particular use case, feel free to reach out. But otherwise, I look forward to your questions.
Right, so Rick, I've got one question from Maria, and the question is this available in the US?
It is indeed, yes. So as Sven has shown on a map, so we do have an office in San Diego that serves kind of the entire continent. So absolutely, yes.
Okay, awesome. And I have Paul asking me, can you detect in-session churn in real time? And if so, what channels can you push the messages to?
Okay,
so,
maybe I...
Yeah, go on, sir.
Yeah. Yes, it is in real time. That is connected to the in-session part. And for the channels, we have the overlay, as you have seen, and we also have our audience stream, which is one of the features that I haven't shown now in particular, but that enables you to push the data to any external data source. So if you want to push that to an email tool, that's perfectly doable. But you could also put that customer on a Facebook retargeting list or on a Google retargeting list, or send it to any of your other connected systems, marketing automation systems. That's completely doable.
Great. And got one more question, which is from Christian, and he says, do you provide solutions for other verticals?
Yes, absolutely. So it was very hard for you to narrow down on particular examples for individual verticals. We had over 200 subscribers from kind of all over the world and different verticals. We did focus on a retail finance page. We have many customers where we serve for automotive, travel, B2B. So let us know what vertical you're in. Tell us what you liked about this demo, what use cases you'd like to see more of, and we can do a follow-up to show you what we can do in your vertical.
Awesome. So I have another question. Do you have any cases for insurance industry, B2C, B2B maybe?
Yes. So finance is kind of one of our top three, the ones that we mentioned earlier. So I know we said finance. Finance is obviously a little more difficult than just kind of banking, but absolutely. So we do work with insurance companies across Europe and across the US. So if you can reach out to us, intelligencemapp.com, we can send you some examples of what we do for insurance.
Okay, awesome. Well, we've reached 47 minutes, so I think we should probably round it off. Please, if anybody has any more questions, just send us an email. You'll get the recording afterwards. And yeah, thank you so much, everybody, for attending, and thank you so much, Rick and Sven, for doing the webinar.
Thanks, guys. Have a great day.
Bye. Thanks for being here. Bye-bye.